I've always known Bella hates me. She married me because I lost my right hand trying to save her. But later on, she's the one who said, Henry, don't ever think you can surpass your brother. And she's also the one who said, I'm wrong. Can you come back? On the day my brother debuted at the Vienna Concert Hall, my right hand was diagnosed as never being able to play the piano again. Bella married me that day. She doesn't love me, I know that. That day, she stepped under a massive curtain to save my brother. I pushed her away, and that's how my right hand got crushed by the falling curtain. In the hospital hallway, my mom grabbed her by the collar, hysterical. You bring nothing but disaster. Adopting you was a mistake. Because of you, Henry might never play the piano again. Do you understand that? At 2 a.m., I woke up in the hospital bed. Bella was there, sitting next to me, eyes downcast, holding my fingers. Your mom wants me to take responsibility, she said, as she slipped a soda can tab onto my ring finger. So, will you marry me? That's how the proposal I'd always dreamt of went down. Our marriage, just a cycle that kept smashing that dream to pieces. I'm sitting on the couch, waiting. It's past 1 a.m. before Bella gets home. She stands in the doorway, looking at me coldly, not sleeping. Bella, where have you been? I tilt my head, asking. She replies totally straightforward. Picking your brother up from the airport. He just got back. As if it's normal for a sister-in-law to do that. I try hard to keep my smile easy. You care for him so much. If I don't care for him, who should I care for? You? With that, my confidence, built up for so long, collapses. I think back to when I could still play piano, and Bella said, Henry, you could play for 10 years and still not be as good as your brother. Light laughter brushes my ears. What, gonna run and tell your mom again? She pinched my shoulder, her ears slightly red, probably from drinking. A kiss lands on the corner of my mouth. She pulls off her scarf. I take back what I just said. Henry, I adore you. You're my treasure. Yeah, right. Her words were dripping with hate. After my brother returned, he suggested a dinner gathering. Nobody thought the food was any special except Bella. When I came out of the restroom, I saw Bella standing in the hallway with my brother. I hadn't seen her smile in so long. Her smile was stunning. Congratulations, you won this award in Finland. Didn't you? Bella's tone is faint. Bella, all thanks to your guidance. My brother grinned, then suddenly pretended to be amazed. Ah, should I be calling you sister-in-law now? Bella dropped her eyes, just an indifferent Her cold demeanor almost screamed she had nothing to do with him. I instinctively twisted the ring on my finger, just about to step out when another female voice interrupted. Leo, what are you doing? My mom, holding her purse, walked over, frowning as she sized up my brother, the other son. I'm telling you, today's your brother's birthday. Don't cause any trouble. I'm here only for your brother. She turned and walked back to our private room. For the first time, my brother's obedient mask cracked. I watched him clench his fists, his eyes turn red. At the dinner table, my brother couldn't stop drinking. It should have been a pleasant family gathering, but everyone was miserable. After my parents divorced, my mom detested my brother because he looked like dad and kept his last name, while I looked like mom. Henry, eat more. Look at you, you're so skinny. Haven't you been eating well the past few days? Bella, you tell Henry to eat properly too, my mom said. Bella, sitting next to me, faintly acknowledged. My mom glared at her and continued shoving food onto my plate. When my brother reached for a piece of fish, Mom beat him to it, putting the best part into my bowl. My brother just paused. His chopsticks never moved again that night. He drank and drank. By the end, my mom was the only one talking to me. The atmosphere was so weird. Finally, dinner ended. Mom had her driver take her home. Before leaving, she held my hand, not sparing my brother a glance. The moment she left, my usually silent brother suddenly grabbed Bella's sleeve. His eyes were red, voice hoarse. Can you drive me home? I might have had too much to drink. Can't stand straight. Bella and I drove there, so giving him a ride wasn't a big deal. But now, He clung to Bella's sleeve, looking pitifully at me with red eyes. Bro, could you not ride with her? He acted like I was getting kicked out of the car. Bella held him, quietly standing there. Seeing them like that, a wave of helplessness washed over me. I'll call a car for you, I said, taking out my phone. I don't want it. Bro, I'm famous too. I can't let strangers know where I live. He replied, playfully nudging against Bella's arm. I couldn't watch anymore, about to pull him away when Bella spoke. We should call a car. Her response caught me off guard. She wasn't siding with him, but with me. More surprising than fiction. Then, she calmly looked at me. Call a car home first. He can't go home alone like this. I'm taking him to the hospital. He's drunk too much. We don't know if it'll affect his hands. Pianist's hands are more precious than anything. Yet when the doctors said I'd never play again, Bella, you didn't even blink. I took a deep breath, took a few steps back, aiming my words at her. Right? He's your proudest student. But then, what am I? My expression made Bella pause. Then she dropped her gaze, helping my brother into the front seat. Be careful on the way back, she said, then slipped into the driver's seat. That was all she left me with. Bella was my mom's foster daughter. When I was 17, she moved into our house and became my brother's and my piano teacher. Her family owed my mom a lot of money, so she had no choice but to repay the debt with her talent. Back then, she was called a once-in-a-century genius in the piano world. But because of the debt, she had to sacrifice her future to teach my brother and me. I always thought Bella hated my brother and me equally. Later, I realized she only disliked me because my brother was super talented. Henry, you don't play as well as your brother did when he was 7. Teachers usually favor students who perform well. But Bella, she wasn't just a little biased. She carefully corrected every mistake my brother made, gently and patiently, while she was always harsh with me. You just don't have the talent, don't you think? At first, I thought she had a crush on my brother. Later, I found out Bella would never be able to perform on the international stage again, so she poured all her hopes into my brother. My brother was talented. It was a talented person admiring another talent. But she soon couldn't teach her favored student anymore. My mom divorced, took me with her, and also took Bella. She became my sole teacher. Back home, I took a cake from the fridge. Without my brother setting up this dinner, I would probably share it with Bella. Now I regret it. A 6-inch cake feels a bit too big for someone alone. I lit the candle, closed my eyes, made a wish, and then cut myself a slice. Happy birthday to me, I said. Finally, I opened the medicine bottle and dumped a few pills into my palm. Seems like I have some depression. After my hand was injured, my mom had a psychologist see me. I didn't take it seriously then, but these days I was sleepless and anxious at night, and the doctor finally told me that being unhappy all the time is a condition that needs medication. I never told Bella. She'd just say I was being dramatic. I was about to take the medicine with the cake when the front door opened. Bella, dressed in all black, walked in and immediately saw the pills in my hand. She was shocked for a moment, then quickly grabbed my wrist. What are you taking? I was surprised by her question, realizing her grip on my wrist was trembling. I'm asking you, why are you taking medicine? Out of instinct, I clenched my fist. It's just sleeping pills. Haven't been sleeping well lately, I said. She snatched the medicine bottle from me, glanced at it. Fluoxetine, sertraline. No sleeping pills use these serotonin reuptake inhibitors. We both knew this, but she just threw the bottle in the trash can right in front of me. Don't take them. She left me with that, then walked into a dark bedroom. There's a piano in the study. I sat in front of it all night, but the moment I placed my hands on the keys, I'd shake so much I couldn't play a single note. In high school, I actually liked Bella. It's easy for a young heart, experiencing a crush for the first time, to fall for someone striking. My female classmates were always so bubbly. Bella was like the solitary pine on a snow-capped mountain. After my parents divorced and my mom took Bella and me with her, Bella lived with me for a long time. My mom was always busy and seldom home. It was just Bella and me. Except for piano, she was kind to me in other ways. She'd rest her chin in her hand while watching me do math problems. That function is off. Are you even listening to me? She'd tap my face with a pen and sigh. Forget it. I'll try a different angle. Okay? Listen. She'd quietly discuss with the housekeeper what to cook for me. Tomorrow, see if there's fresh base at the market. He's a college entrance exam student. I've noticed he lacks appetite lately. Maybe he's stressed. I'm worried. If the driver was absent, she'd take me to and from school herself. Seeing some boys in class pestering me, she'd approach with a metal pipe. Get your dirty hands off. Need me to show you how to leave? I once believed Bella at least cared about me a little bit. Young hearts are always scattered and free. But whenever Bella taught me piano, she'd burst my bubble. Don't you think you play terribly? So rigid. Henry, you don't have a tenth of your brother's soulfulness. Stop playing, Henry. You're just not suited for the piano. That was Bella's usual line during high school. It was like she turned into someone else when she sat at the piano. Always criticizing, showing disdain. But I'd already earned a place at the Central Conservatory. My school teachers praised me endlessly. I just wasn't as good as my brother. I just couldn't be that prodigy. One day after school, I saw my dad had brought my brother home. Dad was down on his luck, and my brother's clothes were dirty. He sat at my piano, his fingers moving effortlessly over the keys. At that moment, I realized I was outmatched. He finished playing, and Bella squatted in front of him, looking up with a smile she'd never shown me. Not bad, Leo. You're the one truly meant for piano. My brother hugged her neck suddenly, choking up. I wish I could have a piano this big, like my brother. I wish Bella could keep teaching me. As he spoke, he clearly saw me at the door wearing my backpack. But Bella didn't see me there. I saw her pause, then gently pat my brother's back. No worries, Leo. You have something your brother doesn't have. You have talent. He doesn't. He's destined to stand in the shadows and watch you step onto a stage and capture everyone's attention. That day, I scored 127 on my math test, my highest ever. Bella had been helping me with math. I wanted to rush home and share this good news. But then, I crumpled the test paper and threw it away. That night, I buried myself in my bed and cried like the world was ending. Wake up. A somewhat cool voice pulled me back to awareness. I barely lifted myself, seeing Bella in a white shirt beside my bed, reaching to touch my forehead. I managed to dodge it. She froze for a second and then calmly said, "Are you mad?" Seeing that I wasn't in the mood to talk, she got into bed and hugged me through the quilt. "Henry, you can get mad at me, but can you take the cold medicine first, please?" She's always like this with me, hot and cold, depending on her mood. Sometimes she's so gentle, like the caring wife she should be, and sometimes I think she wants me dead. I held her hand, which was wrapped around my waist. Bella's skin was always so cold and pale, with her veins showing clearly on the back of her hand. I gently said, "Let's get a divorce." For a long time, there was no answer. It was so quiet, I thought she might have fallen asleep behind me. After a while, she suddenly held me tight. Don't really want to leave, she said, even responding in that indifferent way. I felt a tightness in my chest that made it hard to breathe. I pushed her away and got out of bed, but suddenly, she grabbed my wrist. She stood on her toes to leave a kiss mark on my chin. "Don't be like this, Henry. Do you want me to be any more gentle with you? Who do you think made me this way in the first place? Just walk through hell with me, Henry." Back then, Bella was forced to pay off her parents' debts with her future. She poured all her resentment onto me, though she favored my brother because he was a genius. My brother is a genius, and I'm not. My brother sent me an invitation. It was for his first concert in the country. Even the outermost seats were more than $5,000. "Brother, I saved you a VIP seat," he said. He knew I'd come, and I definitely would. He also sent an invitation to my mom, but she tossed it without even looking. My brother clenched his ticket, his eyes red with anger, then turned to me, using me as a punching bag. "Bella will come to see me play piano too," he said, then covered his mouth in mock regret. "Oh, too bad there's an interaction plan with Bella. so she can't sit with you. Honestly, I didn't care. I was only going to find Bella, which was why I accepted his invite. Bella had been avoiding me these last couple of days. She had a sour face the whole time we got married, yet she's now refusing to get divorced. On the day of the performance, the city's music hall was more packed than I'd ever seen it. 10 years ago, the concerts weren't like this, even though my brother has gained popularity in recent years as a male artist. It seemed overblown until I overheard some people nearby talking at the ticket check. You're here to see Lucia too, right? Yeah, even though she won't be on stage much today. Her personal concerts are impossible to get tickets for. Just a few minutes is worth it. Hearing her play once live is something you'll remember forever. Since I couldn't play piano anymore, I rarely paid attention to piano performances. This Lucia seemed pretty prominent in that world. As I walked down the long corridor, posters of participating musicians lined the walls. I glanced and found the Lucia they mentioned. She looked unexpectedly young, even younger than my brother. Her nose was sharp, lips pressed together, and her dark eyes stared at the camera like beautiful yet cold obsidian. Curiously, she seemed familiar, like I'd seen her somewhere before. Brother, you're here. My feelings for Leo are complicated. On one hand, we're blood, but on the other, our childhoods went wrong, making us wish the other didn't exist. Brother, I played in Vienna's Golden Hall. People there like me a lot. You've never experienced a crowd like that. I leaned against the door, looking at him coldly. Called me here just to say that? If my brother had said this 3 years ago at my hospital bed, I might have felt shaken. But the relentless solitude has numbed that pain. My heart's grown too deadened to feel it. He shook his head and continued, Do you think it thrills me to beat you? The truth is, my life is miserable every day. Awards? Fame? They mean nothing. In my mind, I knew what he wanted. What she wanted was our mom's love. It's like Leo and I both have what the other desires. He looked at me with slight anguish, then picked up something from the table. Henry, do you like Bella? I hesitated, and then he smiled. It doesn't matter if you do or don't. You've lived with her so long, you must care about her. You took Mom's love from me, so I'm taking what you love. Guess who Bella would choose between us? I realized what he planned and moved to stop him, but it was too late. He slashed at his own palm with the scissors and thrust them into my hand. Instinctively, I pushed him away. Blood dripped from his palm, and I heard him whimpering, Brother, are you so jealous you'd cut me? Suddenly, someone knocked over a table and rushed in. A woman rushed to hold him, her hands shaking as she bandaged him up. I opened my mouth to explain, but then I locked eyes with a cold gaze. Bella. Smack. My cheek turned sideways. It wasn't until I felt the burn in my cheek that I realized what happened. She'd slapped me. The one who slapped me was Bella, my wife of 3 years. I thought I'd explode with anger or rage, but strangely, I was completely calm. I touched my nose and noticed blood pooling down. Nosebleed? Bella, you really didn't hold back. I chuckled, shook my head, and stood up. Instead of anger, there was silence. Bella slapped me, yet she seemed stunned. Henry, her voice trembled as she tried to reach for my hand, but I yanked it away. Henry, listen, she seemed to want to say something more, and I actually stopped. So she hesitated again. I watched her, still protectively holding my brother. I shouldn't have hit you, but Henry, you shouldn't have attacked your brother. Do you know how important a pianist's hands are? Smack. I slapped her hard and didn't hold back. She stumbled to the side from the impact. Her bangs fell, hiding her expression from me. I stepped closer and said softly, Bella, I thank you. I heard her breath catch, a bit uneven. This time, I really see you for who you are. I wasn't too sad, nor too angry. Bella was like a knife, stabbing at my heart repeatedly, until one day it didn't hurt anymore. She burned away all my love, little by little. So finally, I could look at her with no emotion. I didn't like her at all anymore, just as she wanted. I started packing my things. When my mom learned about the divorce, she offered me the best divorce lawyer she could find. My son finally understood. I told him, there are plenty of good women out there. If she dares not to divorce, I'll make her face the law. Believe me, I doubt Bella would take it to court. It's just not her style. Even if things get ugly, she stays composed. But I'm staring at a dozen missed calls on my phone, feeling speechless. You call me one more time, I'm calling the police. Her voice on the phone was raspy. Before, I'd worry if she had a cold. Now, all I want is to hang up as quickly as possible. Turns out, this is how people change when feelings fade. Bella, you have to understand, I made a mistake before I even knew the truth. Can you calm down and give me a chance to talk in person? I cut her off. I'm calm. I'll draft the divorce agreement and send it to your email. Bella, stop clinging. It's not like you. After hanging up, I felt no waves of emotion inside. I leaned against the window, looking out at the place I called home for 3 years. I used to try so hard to make it feel like a home. Sat countless times on the sofa, waiting for someone I called a wife to come back. I carefully held onto what I called love, only for her to smash it, time and time again. Eventually, I had nothing left. I couldn't hold onto my love anymore. For the last time, I closed the piano's lid, like shutting out everything that was Bella. Mom, I get what you're saying, but I just finalized the divorce. Now's not the right time. In the cafe, I rubbed my brow, a little awkward. Honestly, I'm mentally exhausted these past few days. If it wasn't for me blocking and threatening Bella, she wouldn't have agreed to the divorce so easily. And yet, after the divorce, she clung like a vengeful spirit even more than before. Then there's my mom. She insists on setting me up for a date. I know she's doing it for my good, but it feels like being forced into a new relationship. She doesn't care if I'm ready or not. Can't you trust someone your mom picked for you? My mom held my hand, speaking earnestly. They're everything Bella wasn't. Status, looks, got it all. Yeah, I stared at the profile my mom gave me. She's really someone with both looks and status. But why is the name Lucia? Someone I glimpsed on a concert poster? A person whose solo concert tickets are impossible to get? From what I know, she's a big deal here and abroad. Even my successful brother can't touch her level of fame. Did my mom not consider why someone like her would go on a date with a recent divorcee like me? And she's 5 years younger too. If she agrees, it's probably just to be polite to my mom. Come on, just go, okay? My mom fiddled with her ring. It's just one date. No one's gonna hurt you. She smiled, but her words sent a strange chill down my spine. Why do I feel like my mom's getting a bit mobsterish? The date was set at a fancy steakhouse. I went there just to enjoy a meal, didn't dress up much. Considering she's a renowned pianist, there's no way she'd be into someone like me with no talent and an injured hand. Plus, I'm in no mood for dating right now. This steakhouse's attraction is being inside an aquarium. Surrounded by drifting aquatic life, it's lit to look like an underwater world. A server guided me through until I saw her at the end of the way. Some people naturally draw your gaze. She sat in a white dress by a 2-person table, resting her chin on her hand. The blue waves reflected on her face, lonely and distant. Underneath that aloof facade, I figured the date would end quickly. Yet, the girl across from me seemed oddly interested. Not only did she keep looking at me, but she also introduced the restaurant. She seemed prepared, knowing when the sharks would swim by. Don't you like it here, big brother? And she called me big brother out of nowhere. It's nice. I cut a piece of steak and ate. It was cooked just right. But why does she keep staring at me and smiling? Lucia, is there something on my face? I asked cautiously. She just laughed, lashes lowered. No, just your handsomeness. Sweet talking girl. The cello's soothing notes filled the restaurant, easing my awkwardness. I finally asked her my burning question. You look familiar. Have we met before? She just smiled, and I turned red. Geez, what am I asking? Sounds like a cheesy pickup line. Until I heard her voice, delicate across the table. We haven't met before, big brother. And more softly, murmuring, just remember me now, that's all. What? I blinked, unsure of her words. I saw her turning off her phone, smiling at me. It's raining outside. Let me give you a ride home, big brother. In a sleek silver Maserati, rain poured over the city outside. Inside, Calm piano music played. Love letter. Huh? I thought someone like Lucia, who plays classical music, wouldn't like songs like that. And this atmosphere, isn't it a bit too sad? I sighed, and the person next to me turned off the music. Sorry, did I pick the wrong song? She said to me a bit apologetically. Made me feel embarrassed instead. No, no, no. At the stoplight, she was tapping the steering wheel, tilting her head to look at me. Do you play the piano too? Next time, come to my place, we can play together. I was caught off guard for a second, then shook my head. I'd rather not. I have a hand injury. Can't play. Well, it's not like it's broken. You could still play. The car started moving. She didn't look at me again, just focused on the road, kept talking. Can't, my hands would shake. I play the wrong notes. What does it matter if you make mistakes? Nobody's perfect. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. I can't do it. If you want to play, you could. I told you I can't. I hadn't realized. I raised my voice. The car parked right below my apartment. Rain was pouring down on the car. She leaned on the steering wheel, her head tilted, looking at me. All right. We don't have to play. Okay. She stretched over and ruffled my hair. I never thought I'd be comforted by someone 5 years younger. Sorry for being out of line. I instinctively looked down, but she just ruffled my hair more. Are you treating my head like a dog's? I was about to pull away, but she suddenly grabbed my wrist. She got really close, maybe a bit too close. Hey, look outside. Isn't that your ex-wife? I followed her gaze to see, through the curtain of rain. Sure enough, there was a shadowy figure. It was Bella, with an umbrella, waiting for me outside. You know, if I did something to you right now. Her pianist's hands were long as she played with my seatbelt. She had this citrus scent on her. Would your ex-wife be furious? Lucia just wrapped an arm around my neck, giving a gentle hug. Her high nose brushed my ear. I'd noticed before. Her eyes were a little light, her features more defined, like someone with mixed heritage. A look you'd remember, until she pushed me onto the seat. I saw a mole on her collarbone, like a star fallen from the galaxy. Suddenly I remembered a long ago night, when I held her like this. Her fingers brushed my ear. Her soft laughter lingered. Did you really think I wouldn't do anything to you? Her voice had a slight rasp, even a hint of threat at the end. I realized then, I was pinned down by a grown woman. The rain outside was like a glass encasing the whole city. The sound of the rain was enough to mess with my thoughts. Staring up at her, I was a bit dazed. And then she laughed. The person I remembered wasn't supposed to have a smile like that. My mind felt a bit cluttered, until she brushed my bangs, and left a kiss on my forehead. The swirling rain reflected in her eyes, like an endless ocean in them. I'm not too late, am I? This time, let me save you. Who was that woman? Tell me, who was that woman who just drove off? I felt my wrist grabbed by the person who wouldn't leave me alone. Bella was soaked through. I stared at the rain dripping from her sleeves. She had never looked this defeated before, clinging to my shirt. Henry, did she do something to you? Did she kiss you? As she said this, I felt she might bite through her teeth. I brushed her hand off, nodded softly. She lifted her head sharply, looking at me in disbelief. Have you fallen for someone else? That love thing I don't know how to define, but I'd rather I never had feelings for Bella at all. Henry, did you secretly fall for another woman? Is that why you asked for a divorce? Seeing her getting more emotional, her endless guesses, my heart stayed calm. Think whatever you want. Please move. Can you? I wanted to push past her to unlock my front door. She blocked me, really starting to test my patience. I was about to ask what she really wanted, but she grabbed my wrist, and the next second, kneeled before me. The raindrops seemed to unsettle the whole building. She was trembling as she held my hand. All right, Henry, it doesn't matter if you've changed. Can't you just give me another chance? These days I can't eat or sleep. How long have we been together? I don't know when it happened, but you became so important. Please don't go. Okay. Please don't leave me. Her forehead rested on the back of my hand. The warm light of the hallway stretched our shadows long. Henry, I have never betrayed you emotionally. I'm only concerned about your brother's hands. He is a genius. I just want to see him perform on the grandest stage. You know, the significance of the piano is different for me. I've never liked your brother. I swear on it. I've only held you, only kissed you. In my life, you were the one I loved. I can't watch a pianist destroy himself in front of me. So that day, I instinctively protected him. I don't know how things got like this. I really don't know. Slowly, she covered her face with her hands. I had never seen Bella like this. A mess, falling apart. She kept mumbling, I don't want to leave you. I reached out and pulled her up. Bella, she stared at me, blankly. I used to like you, you know? As I spoke, she visibly trembled. In high school, I dreamt of getting your approval. I wanted you to praise me. So, I secretly practiced playing the piano. I knew I wasn't talented. I didn't play well. That's why you never complimented me. It's fine, though. But later on, you slapped me. I pointed to my heart. I liked you, but the person I liked hit me. That slap wiped out the little boy who liked you. He realized you two would never have a future. He understood. You would always disappoint him for his brother's sake. So he left. Makes sense, right? I smiled at her. People have to cut their losses, don't they? She wordlessly held onto my wrist tightly. Henry, give me another chance. So why should I even give this chance at all? Like unleashing a storm of emotions, I finally shouted at her. Why didn't you care about me from the start? Why didn't you stand by my side from the beginning? What's your love even worth? Is it that cheap? Did you love me so much you had to slap me yourself? What does this awakening mean now? If you were going to realize, why didn't you realize when I waited for you after work? Why didn't you realize after you said hurtful things to me over and over? Why didn't you realize when you were siding with my brother? You had so many chances. I lowered my gaze. The woman stubbornly held my hand, her expression dazed. But you never noticed. The me who needed you, not even once. I pushed her aside, went inside, locked the door. The rain kept pouring, smashing against the balcony window. I left it open outside when I left. Rainwater came in. I sat on the couch, staring at the splashes all night. A message on my phone snapped me back to reality. I bowed my head, staring at the little white dog's avatar, saved as Lucia. When did I add her on Instagram? Couldn't remember. Brother, actually last night I was outside your building. I didn't leave. I thought if something happened, I could help you out. Are you okay? I bit my lip, typing. I'm fine. Thanks for your concern. A few seconds later, a call came in. I picked up. Her clear voice instantly lifted my spirits. Come down for breakfast, brother. I was stunned for a few seconds, realizing she'd been outside my building the whole night. A workday breakfast stall is always bustling with people. In a sense, both Lucia and I were up all night. I took the pre-split chopsticks from her, bowing my head in thanks. Thank you. You really didn't have to do this, Lucia. She sat across from me, resting her chin on her hand, and gently said, Had it been anyone else, I would have stopped them. Yes, I had kind of saved Lucia's life. Before 24, the piano was fused into my entire being. So when I learned I could no longer play well, I nearly lost it. It was like a painter losing their sight, a chef losing their sense of taste, the sky being suddenly shrouded in darkness. But time is cruel. I went from angry and unwilling to just numb. My mom found me a therapist. I went there for treatment every day. It was on one of those days I met Lucia. She wasn't there for therapy. She was with a patient. The waiting room was packed. Her spot was the only one available. People avoided her because she looked really disheveled, surrounded by worn-out bags, like she carried a contagious aura. I sat down beside her anyway. I didn't care about all that, because back then I was like a walking corpse. She held sheet music in her hand, thin, maybe a bit too thin. Music was something you learned if you came from money in those days. The handwritten notes on that sheet didn't match her at all. with just a glance. I knew it was a good composition, and I didn't recall ever hearing anything like it. Could this girl have written it herself? Back in the day, I would have grabbed her shoulders, demanding answers. But what did the piano have to do with me now? I leaned back, trying to rest. Then, I heard her tear the sheet. She threw it in the trash next to her. I glanced at her, but dismissed it. Then it was time for the routine checkup. I talked to the therapist, and returned upstairs to the hospital room. I remember that day clearly. It was my last day in the hospital. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. How would I face the days ahead? I could never play the piano again. Just thinking of it made it hard to breathe. Why did I even save Bella? My body reacted on its own. Before I knew it, that's what happened. Maybe I'd rush for anyone else too. Unable to sleep, I wandered up to the hospital rooftop, winds sweeping around me in the dim light, until I saw a figure standing at the edge of the rooftop. That silhouette took another step forward. Just one more and they'd fall off the building. In the next second, I darted over and grabbed the girl's waist. At that moment, I thought, honestly, I'd save anyone in that situation. What the heck are you doing? The girl yelled at me, totally ungrateful. That's when I realized she was the same girl sitting next to me earlier today. Why are you even bothering to meddle in my suicide? Would it affect anyone if I disappeared from this world? Why? She cried, tears soaking into my hospital gown, which felt a bit dirty. There's nothing you can't overcome in this world. Being alive is more important than anything, I told her softly, staring intently. Stop with the cliches, she suddenly shouted, pushing me. You rich people will never get what it's like for us. She continued, my mom's sick. She said she'd hang on if I won that piano competition. I got first place fair and square, but you rich folks snatched it away. My piano was bought with money pooled from my village. Multiple music teachers pulled strings just to get me that competition spot. So why? Why can you easily buy everything I worked hard for? Clutching my collar, she cried her heart out. I said sorry. Don't pretend to be so noble. She snapped at me. Are you rich people all like this? Mocking me inside, disgusted by my smell? Would you hug me, even when I'm this filthy? I wrapped my arms around her, and she swallowed her words. I patted her back gently and said, I'm sorry, not on behalf of all the rich people. I didn't take your spot. Why should I apologize? I am actually sorry for lying earlier. I felt her tense up, like she wasn't used to being held. Actually, I began, gazing at the endless moon. I also want to die. I used to play piano too, but 3 months ago, the doctor told me my hand tendons couldn't be fully repaired. There's nothing you can't overcome in this world. Being alive is more important than anything. It's all just talk I used to numb myself. Sorry for saying it to you. She went silent in my arms, as if debating whether to hug me back but felt embarrassed by her own scent. But just now, I continued, I changed my mind. Watching someone fall in front of me doesn't feel right. I don't want others to look at me the same way. So I forbid dying for both of us. Deal? I patted her head, waiting for a response. Silence. I sighed. I'll never play piano again. Was that piece you tore up earlier today yours? I bet it's beautiful. Will you play on for me? For my dream? Please? Sis, your noodles are getting cold, she said, snapping me back to reality as she pinched my cheek. Yup, that girl from the rooftop was Lucia, sitting across from me now. You've grown up, I blurted out. She paused, then giggled. Brother, you remembered me, though I kinda hoped you wouldn't. The girl lowered her eyelashes, idly twirling chopsticks with her slender fingers. I was such a mess back then, she said with a perfectly pitiful tone and a hint of sadness. Looking at her now, I felt she'd not only grown taller but also shrewder. My noodles had gone cold, so Lucia swapped them with her fresh wontons. I started eating them, but when I reached for my noodles back, she had already scarfed them down, giving me a cheeky wink. I couldn't handle people younger than me, really. On the way back, we chatted on and off. So did you end up getting to the stage you always wanted? I asked, feeling a bit sentimental. Who knew the girl I saved at the hospital would someday be a big shot in the music world? Well, yeah, she replied. I met a great mentor, but it was a tough journey. When I first went abroad, they treated me like a stray dog. Standing beside me, her hands in her pockets, she smiled, even as she spoke about it. She walked me home and turned to look at me. But it's all in the past now, right, brother? I sure got lucky. I thought I'd never see you again. As Lucia left, she handed me a concert invitation, silver-edged and elegant. Apparently, it's designed just for her shows worth thousands online. Does she really have a concert this week? I wasn't sure, but I pocketed it anyway, though part of me wondered if she was pulling a fast one on me. Turning up at the venue, there was no one. Odd, it wasn't in a concert hall but a beachside villa. Why? Because this concert is just for you, brother. A familiar, amused voice came from behind me. I turned to see her. Honestly, I did try to dress up today. When I see the people around me, I can't help but be amazed by the favoritism Lady Nuwa showed when creating people. She's wearing her formal performance outfit and bows to me, reaching to take my hand. In that moment, the mountain moon gets covered, the sea breeze is taken away, and the endless night falls into her eyes. I've never seen stars that bright since. The girl leads me inside the villa. It's barely decorated, just simple floorboards. Not until I see the piano in the center of the hall do I realize this villa exists just for that piano. She pulls me over to the piano. So, Lucia the great pianist, what are you playing today? But she shakes her head. It's not me. It's you, bro. You play. I freeze. The crystal chandelier's light reflects in her eyes. I take a step back. You know I can't play. But she wraps an arm around my waist. Don't step back, brother. Music is for people. How well you play depends on your own joy. Who cares if you make mistakes? Or if it's not fluent? As long as you play, I'll listen. Who knows how long it took before I sat at the piano again. My hands rest on the keys, then press one down. At that moment, I shiver. I really love the piano, but I can't play it well. I'm so terrified. Terrified. I've never been talented, and my hands can't even move right now. I don't know what's coming out. My hands tremble. I feel like crying. I remember what Bella once said to me. Henry, you don't have the talent. But this time, someone holds my wrist. Lucia, with long, slender fingers, guides mine, hugs me as she presses the keys. It sounds bad, all broken up, but the notes spill out one after the other. In life, there are things we love but have no talent for. For me, that's the piano. Slowly, my left hand joins with chords. We play simple beginner's exercises, taking me back to those nights of practice. At some point, she lets go of my hand. That was my first time playing piano since my hand got hurt. The piece was a mess, at a level where any expert would cover their ears. But no one told me to stop. No teacher criticized it. I finished and gave her an embarrassed smile. Sorry, I still can't play well. A clang rings out as her fingers hit the keys. Lucia traps me between her and the piano, narrowing her eyes and smiling. Brother, you look so cool. Then she kisses me. I can't breathe. Adjusting to make me comfortable, she hits a few more keys, spilling notes like the piano senses what we're up to. I manage to push her away with effort. Brother, did I upset you? Looking into her cautious eyes, I swallow my words. She brushes back my messy hair. That was my bad, brother. I was too eager. Actually, today I wanted to ask if you could compose a piece for me. Smoothly changing topics, smooth in her touch. Why didn't I realize before? She's as sly as a fox. Cough. I avert my gaze, but she blocks all escape routes. Brother, everyone says you're not talented. Well, let me prove it to them. I'll be your hands, to finish the songs you never did. The chandelier's light spreads like fallen stars in her eyes. She kneels in front of me, takes my hand, kisses my palm. Will you write me a song and walk with me? Epilogue. I used to think my brother was my biggest rival. Turns out I was too young. Too young. Picking up the piano again is painful, even with a solid foundation and a skilled pianist wife at home. Writing music is harder than I thought. I face as many setbacks as I did playing. When I toss away ruined sheet music, My wife gently retrieves it. It's not bad, why throw it out? I've learned over time that Lucia's words are sweet lies. Even my scribbles get praises from her. Being around her makes me lazy. She's downright devilish. The little devil wraps her arms around me, then softly kisses my neck. Brother, your compositions these past years already outshine your brother's. Why work so hard? Let's do something more fun. Okay? I struggle out of her embrace, reaching for the sheet music on the table. Yeah, my brother's great at playing, but only average at composing. And there were scandals of him plagiarizing. He's been in lawsuits constantly. Beating him doesn't feel like something to brag about. I've been struggling with composing these past few days. The person I've always wanted to outdo is now the one who's got me pinned down. Lucia, your sheet music is already written, so you're just here to mess with me, right? I'm telling you, this time I'm definitely going to beat you and win that award. It's so frustrating to always be second to you. Get your hand off me. With one hand controlling me, she finds the remote with the other and closes the curtains, then messes up my hair with a laugh. Okay, babe, this time you'll definitely beat me. But as she leans into the crook of my neck, her laugh turns a bit raspy. She lifts her head and looks at me seriously. What I've always cared about isn't the award. What I care about is the person competing with me for it.